Good morning, everybody. Crafting Journey here. It may not be morning when you're listening to this, and I understand, but it's morning here. Oh my God. 5 o'clock this morning. Dog fart. Have you ever, the smell woke me up. It was so bad. So I dived under the covers and I'm thinking, it'll go away. It was permeating the covers. I'm like, oh, this is so bad. So I was awake. Couldn't go back to sleep. It was so bad. Poor Tootsie. I don't know what she ate yesterday, but man, woo. I've never had it that bad where it woke me up. Yeah. I gotta grab a pen here. There we go. Oh, I want to grab one more. This one right here. Tia's pen. Because yesterday in the mail, I ordered some placers. I got these off of Amazon, but they are from J.R.R. I love J.R.R. placers. I did not find the 20 placer. This has 3 to 15. And it came with a straightener, which, Lord, I have dozens of these things. I don't really use them. I should, but I'm not that, I don't want to say the word that we're all thinking of, but I'm not that way about my paintings, The diamonds go where they go. I will admit that with the rounds, I have to do some straightening sometimes. Sometimes even the squares, but, oh, there's a diamond sticking up there. Go back. Go back in your place. Okay. So I think I want to switch this one out. This is a 10 placer. So we actually have, whoa, look at this one. This is, oh, okay, this one's 14. Let me just pour these out here. I thought there was a 15. Yes. Oh my gosh, there's one of everything. 13, 14, 15. Oh my God, you could have a pen for every situation. I think I really like a 7 placer. So I'm gonna use that in my pen. And it has a little teeny tiny straightener. See? That's cute. All right, we'll figure all this out later. And these are the thin ones. I don't know if you can see. They're the thin ones that I like. I don't like the fat ones. Okay, we're ready to diamond paint. What symbol have we not done yet? All right, I did those 2 symbols. Oh no, there's some more of that one. Oh, how did I miss that? Okay. Let's do some black. Let's do some black. Why not? Put this away. Okay. So last night was, I did my giveaway, my March yarn giveaway. And it was like a technical difficulty night. Yeah, we were getting hamsters, so I had to start over. And then I went to do the drawing and I shared my screen, and just before I clicked, start to do the drawing, I got hijacked to another website and it literally would not let me leave that site. So I had to close out of the Chrome altogether, which closed me out of StreamYard. So I was still live. So I typed in on my iPad, technical difficulties, be right back. Cheryl helped me. She let everybody know I was having difficulties. So it didn't take me long, but I got right back in, and because I just had to open Chrome again and StreamYard had the live going, and I just jumped back in and continued on. But for a little space in that video, there's like total black, no light whatsoever. Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway, nice decaf coffee. Today's my day to go into the office. Yay! I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But yesterday, I looked up dog parks, and I found one that's really close. So I think after work, I'm going to grab Tootsie and, well, both of them. Well, no, I'm going to only grab Tootsie because until I can check out the place. I'm going to go see if I can find this dog park. Well, I know I can find it, but it wasn't clear to me that there's actually a dog park there, or if you could just walk your dogs there. That's what I got to check out. Because Tootsie, she loves dog parks, like where she can run around and play with the other dogs, and sniff all the grass and smell all the smells. Oh, the dog life. Yes, I put 7 on here and I'm not even using it. Let's use it. How about that? There we go. I find that 7 is very manageable. I'm going to practice with the 15, but for now, we're just going to go with the 7. All right, where should we go from here? Let's go to, what national day is this? It is National J.R.R. Tolkien Day. He's the author of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings trilogy. I mean, who doesn't know that? So it's actually called J.R.R. Tolkien Reading Day. So read yourself some J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm going to put up a quote here that I think is really cool. After I find it. It is the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folks that keep darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, he's got a lot of cool quotes. Also, what I'm going to do for you guys, in the description of this video, I'm going to send you a link to a word search, a J.R.R. Tolkien word search. So you can celebrate J.R.R. Tolkien Reading Day by doing a word search. See if you can find all the Middle-earth references. Now, I will admit, I read The Hobbit, and I have this beautiful book that I bought, this beautiful bound book that I bought, that has The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, because I wanted to save it. My intention was to read it. I got through The Hobbit, and then I kind of fell off. I don't know why. Things happen. But it was really good reading. But now my sister actually loves this stuff. My sister was a librarian for years and years and years, children's books, a children's librarian. And so J.R.R. Tolkien is one of her favorites as well. I gotta find out what's going on with my sister. I haven't heard from her in at least a week. What is she up to? I'm gonna find out. I am going to find out. Okay, let's do Judge, Jury, and Journey. Okay. Nothing going on in the George Floyd trial. Nothing. So let's just move right to the Marissa. I always say Marissa. Why am I saying Marissa? Michelle Martinko case. Michelle Martinko. I don't know why I say Marissa. That's poor Marissa. She gets blamed for everything. So yesterday was very interesting. And they had another DNA person on, of course. But here's what I found interesting. And I've got to tell you guys, I will never drink out of a glass in a restaurant again. just won't. Like, I'm going to use a straw. So what they were saying is that most of the times when they test a glass from a restaurant, it will have like multiple DNA on there. Probably the dishwasher, the waitress, the busboy, whoever else handled it. Did it really get washed? I was astonished when I heard this. I was like, whoa, whoa, versus a straw, which you take out of the wrapper and you put it in, and it's just your DNA on that straw. I mean, unless you go to Chuck E. Cheese and there's an open set of straws and all the little kids are, that would be a different story. But yes, I'm going to use a paper straw and put it in my cup. Now, and I always wondered, hey, why are they handing me a straw? Because I like drinking out of a cup. I like my cups and my coffee cup, my coffee cup. I don't want to drink my coffee with a straw. But if I go to the restaurant, I'm drinking from a straw. Yeah, because that's kind of gross. Anyway, so they put on the lead investigator, the current lead investigator, who happened to have been 4 years old at the time of this event. So this was a really interesting day of testimony. They put on a video. This investigator went with 17 other people to go up and interview Jerry Burns. Now that's the name of the defendant. I haven't mentioned his name too much because I just didn't know how he fit into the picture. So they go up to interview Jerry Burns. Now they've got all the DNA done, but they've got a search warrant to obtain a buccal swab, which is where they swab the inside of his mouth. But they're going to go up and do what they call a soft interview. But they take 18 people up there with them, and the attorney's like, why did you take 18 people? Well, you never know what's going to happen. And I'm like, well, that's a little overkill. Now, I don't think Jerry ever saw the other 16 people because it was just two people that went into his workplace. So they drive up to, I think it's Manchester. Manchester? Yeah. It's a 45-minute drive from Cedar Rapids to this other town where he has a business. And it's kind of some kind of painting business where they sand metal and they resurface metal, something like that. Anyway, and I don't know if it's his business. I think it's his business. So they go up there and they go in the entrance, and Jerry's sitting in the office, and he's, oh, come on in. He's like, we're with the police, Cedar Rapids police, and we're just, can we sit and talk to you and ask you a few questions? And he's like, oh yeah, come on, have a seat. And he's at his desk, and he's sitting there like this. And this is the funny part. So they're trying to have you ever heard of the Michelle Martinko murder? And he's like, no, I don't. And they said, well, this happened back in 1979. He's like, well, I think I probably heard about it on the news. But the thing is, I wanted to see his face when they mentioned her name, and he may not have even known her name, but I'm sure he did after the fact. I mean, if you murder somebody and it's in the news, you probably figured out who you murdered. But so he's sitting there like this, but there's a cat on his table. And I swear the cat planted himself. I got to back up a second. So the lead investigator has a hidden camera. This is how we could see all this. He's got a hidden camera, and the audio was very good, and the visual was very good. So he's got this hidden camera, and the other 16 people that came with them can hear the audio. They can't see the visual, but they can hear the audio. I guess if something goes wrong, they can all run in and save him. But anyway, so we can see what's going on. So I want to see this guy's face, when they mention her name. So he's sitting there like this, and as soon as they mention her name, the cat plants himself right in front of Jerry's face. Couldn't see his face because all you could see is this cat's face. I'm like, move the cat. We can't see him. So, and the cat's just going back and forth during the whole interview. But Jerry, like, very nonchalant. And they're like, well, um, we got some tips, and your name was mentioned, and he's like, really? Hmm. And like just like that. Hmm. Really? Um, so then they proceed to show him some pictures that were created. Like they can take your DNA and create photos of what you would have looked like at certain points in your life. And so they show him the three that they have, and he's like, "This is supposed to be me?" He's like, "Well, I was pretty handsome, wasn't I?" He says, "I don't think I look that good." Um, and the whole conversation, and finally they're like, listen, Jerry, let's just cut to the chase. He allowed them to do the vocal swat. He's like, yeah, okay, well, go ahead, yeah. hmm they get their swab, and so after that they're like, listen, Jerry, let's just cut to the chase. We already know what this is going to show. We already know that your DNA, was found at the crime scene. Now this is your chance to tell us what happened. Did you all meet up at the mall, or whatever? And he's going, just test the DNA. Test the DNA. And they're like, no, come on. We already know what the DNA is going to show. It's going to show that you were there. So this is your opportunity to let us know, tell us your side of the story. Maybe there's an explanation. And he's like, I wasn't there. Just test the DNA. Like, just no reaction from this guy. None. I was a little stunned. And at one point, his phone rings and he's like, oh, why don't you take this call? It's my brother. So he takes the call. Yeah, he doesn't tell his brother that there's cops there or anything. And then he hangs up and he comes back and they continue on. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And that was the entire interview. That, like, he never moved out of this position. He leaned back and forth, and I looked. Sometimes you could tell from their eyes, if they're lying or not, but I couldn't tell a thing. He was just very nonchalant, I guess would be the word I would say. It was super interesting. So Jerry, the rest of the testimony, I'm trying to think. Oh, so what we learned during this testimony was they had a list of suspects, like 120 suspects that they were able to rule out with this DNA. And several of those suspects had even confessed to the murder. Like, more than one person had confessed to the murder. But, they said, a lot of times that it's people that just, they're doing it to get attention, and they clearly did not know enough about the crime to have really committed it. Nor did their DNA match, so they were really ruled out. I mean, they took it seriously and they investigated the confessions, but they're like, no, these guys didn't do it. So then they bring in his roommate from jail. I love the roommate stuff. And this guy, oh my God, his criminal history, whoa. He was like a professional trafficker. He apparently, in this where they're housing this defendant, they also house, they mix state and federal defendants. So this guy's up on federal charges, but he's rooming with Jerry. Um, and and they kind of like become best of friends. But this guy's background, man, he got caught like at least 5 times for trafficking drugs. And he said, I would go down to Mexico. They'd pay me $2,000, hand me the keys to a vehicle, and tell me to drive it across the border. And sometimes I got caught. Wow. I'm just like stunned. Then he spent, and then one time he got caught driving immigrants across the border, trafficking people, driving immigrants across the border. Um, he said he had his own pool business, but and his wife and kids, and um, but I guess he was just trying to make ends meet. I don't know, but you know, he spent 8 years in a Mexican prison, and I never figured out why he spent 8 years in a Mexican prison. But in any case, now he's back in the U.S. and he's in jail for, I believe, another conspiracy to smuggle drugs or something, something of that nature. But I'm telling you. Anyway, so he testifies that there was a time that they liked to play pinochle together. So they were playing cards, and he kept beating Jerry. So Jerry was getting mad about it. And at one point, Jerry said, hey, you better watch out or I'll take you to the mall. And it kind of stunned him that he said that. And he's like, what? You take me to the mall? And he knew the background of why Jerry was there. He was accused of murdering this woman at the mall. Wow. And then a couple of other innocuous statements that I really didn't take to be confessions. Like one statement was, well, if I go down for this, at least I had 40 years with my family. I don't know that that's confessing. It's but it's not a great statement. So I wasn't terribly moved. I was entertained by the roommate, but not terribly moved by his testimony. And but today I'm going to be listening to the car ride. When they went to arrest him, there was videotape of there was a camera in the vehicle videotaping the defendant, and it was a 45-minute drive, so they obviously had some conversation. So at some points they're conversing about this murder. So I will bring that to you tomorrow, what what that entailed. So that was the Michelle Martinko trial for today. Super interesting. So a lot of you did express that you want me to cover the Chad and Lori Daybell trial. So that will be later this year, but when it comes up, yes, I'll cover it for you. So let's do this day in history before we run out of time. So let me find the year. I always forget what year it is. I don't memorize the year, folks. Let's find out. Okay, the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. This is the Triangle Shirtwaist Company, and it was in 1911, on this day in history in 1911. So this factory, oh my God, these two men owned this factory. It was the top 3 floors of the Ash Building, which is now known as the Brown Building and houses university students, I think, or it's part of a university. So yeah, it still exists, which is crazy. But anyway, the top 3 floors of this Brown Building, 8, 9, and 10. And on this day, this company housed 500 workers. It was a sweatshop by every definition of a sweatshop. there was teenage girls working there. That many of them did not speak English. Um, they were Jewish and Italian immigrants. Very few men, and they were just lined up, these rows and rows of women on these sewing machines, cranking out these shirts. And I'll show you a picture of the shirt. Very popular shirt during that time period. It was called a shirtwaist. So they were cranking these things out. They were paying these workers $15 a week. And they had to work 9 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and Saturday they had to work 7 hours. So this was like towards the end of the day on Saturday. One of the bins that housed the scraps of fabric, and it had not been emptied in a while, caught on fire. And they think probably someone ditched a cigarette in there, because they weren't allowed to smoke in there, but people would sneak in cigarettes. So the cigarette goes in, this fire catches on. The manager goes to use the fire extinguisher, and it's rusted shut, and the hose is corroded. No good. Can't use, not fire extinguisher, like fire hose or whatever they called it at the time. That's not going to work. So now this fire is out of control. So now they're like, okay, we got to get out of here. So the people on, and the owners were actually touring the factory with their family at the time of this fire. So the people on the 8th floor where this started called the people on the 10th floor. They had no way to contact the people on the 9th floor. So they called the people on the 10th floor, which is where the owners were, and they evacuated to the roof. And actually were able to jump to another building. But no, the people on the 9th floor had no way of knowing there was a fire until the fire was there. So they had 4 elevators. 3 of the elevators did not work. So they tried to use the one elevator that did work, and they only could make 3 trips before the elevators stopped working. And then people pried the elevator door open and were trying to slide down, and they just fell into the shaft to their death. And to get to those elevators, you had to go down this long corridor. Then there were two exits, stairwell exits. So they're piling into the stairwell exits. Well, one of them opened inwards. But all these people, people were just crushed to death trying to get this door open. And then the people that in the other stairwell, they're all flooding, this is 500 people. They're flooding that stairwell. The door is locked to prevent theft. And the guy that had the key to the door had already evacuated safely out of the building. And needless to say, the owners, they were the part of the people that escaped on the roof. I may not have mentioned that. So they get off. Then the only other exit was a fire escape, which was all rusted and rotted. And so people just flooded this fire escape, and all of a sudden it just kind of twisted and collapsed, and people fell 100 feet to their death. So now, and then another 60-some people jumped out of windows and fell to their death. And this happened in 18 minutes. The span of 18 minutes, 146 people died in this fire. And the 2 owners were tried for manslaughter, and they got off. They found not guilty. They claim they didn't know about all this, but anyway, it changed labor laws. It was the impetus for changing labor laws, paying women better hours, sprinklers in all the factories. So it was horrible that these people lost their lives, and they did lose a civil suit, these 2 men. They lost a civil suit, and they ended up paying each worker's family $75. Yeah, a whopping $75. Yeah. Which, I think, I don't know what that equates to back in 1911, but it's still not a whole lot of money. That's just a few weeks' pay. But considering the insurance company gave them $60,000 to cover the cost of the fire. Crazy, huh? Crazy. So that is this day in history, the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. It was in this building in Greenwich Village, really nice area of town. But man, and there, I read some witness accounts, and it was just horrible. They said to watch. It was just horrible. Anyway. That is this day in history. They're always trying to sell me something on these sites. My goodness. Where are we on time? What? We're out of time, guys. And I have to go to work. I hate these days. It's okay. I'll get through it. I will get through it. I got my watch on. I'm going to walk around the hospital, get a few steps in today. What do you think? Okay. So don't forget, look down in the description. I'm going to put a J.R.R. Tolkien word search, a link to a word search. Print it out. Have fun. And I will see you tomorrow morning in the morning show. Love you all.